What makes people buy things that they don't need? The vast majority of what you're selling, probably, people don't really need. And if they do, you might be in the wrong business. Typically speaking, things that people need are commodities, right? Nobody needs to take better photos. They want to. There's not much elasticity in the price of things that people need. If you need a mop, you can be a millionaire, right? And go to the store, and if one mop's $2.99 and one mop's $3.99, you're likely to buy the $2.99 mop because you just don't give a shit about a mop. You just need a mop, right? Gasoline's a great example. It's hard to even get people to buy Chevron over another brand of gasoline because it kind of doesn't matter anymore. But when it comes to something people want, that's where we get to play. That's the world we get to play in. So that's what we want to learn today. So I'm going to show you at least five triggers that force us to buy goods and services. So this is kind of the law that you need to write down. People buy things that make them feel better about themselves. That's just that, right? No matter what you're selling, there's an emotional tie-in that you need to make. Is how you can take your product and make people feel better about themselves when they buy it. People want to take better photos because they want to show those photos to other people, right? It's not about the photo itself. It's about the feeling they get when they show someone else their work, right? So read this. People buy things that make them feel better about themselves. Doesn't mean they're better, doesn't mean they're worse, just means it makes them feel better. So offers are all about emotion. If you can learn nothing else from this weekend, learn that, right? Dan Kennedy says offers are about emotion. Marketing is all about emotions and mathematics, emotions and arithmetic. And he's absolutely right? Some offers work, some offers don't. That's the math side of the business. But from the offer creation side of the business, if you can learn to poke those emotional triggers well enough, you can sell practically anything. And without making great big claims, right? That's the lesson that I learned. 11 years ago, I was grossing a little over $3 million a month in my business. My personal salary every week was $100,000. That's what went directly into my bank account, ACH every week. And still at the end of every month or two, I'd have to go take $1 million or $2 million out and go put it in another account with an investment person. Was killing it. But I was selling supplements and dietary products. It's a very litigious business. I got in a lot of trouble because I made claims that I believed were true. I still believe were true. There was documentation those claims were true. But the truth is, you can't say it. It don't matter. Right? I totally screwed up. And I lost everything in the world. Just like that. Instantly. Right? I lost a lot of friends. Lost a lot of money. A lot of friends that probably weren't friends. A few of those friends are still in the room. So I know that I didn't lose all of them. But I lost all my money. I lost all my things. I almost lost my freedom. So I decided I got to truck through this. And fortunately, my friend Ryan Dice reached out to me with a lot of help during that situation. And after that situation and said, what are you going to do? And my phone wasn't ringing. Nobody was looking. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any friends. And I was $3 million in debt. So I went to Austin with Ryan and started building Digital Marketer. And that's how this all started 11 years ago. So, but what I found during that process, I knew that I could never do business the way I'd done business in the past, right? I had to do it differently. And that's when I really started to study in earnest human behavior and motivation, because I knew there were ways. We had written a sales letter. I'll never forget it. During that time about an energy product. And another copywriter had written it. And we had all kinds of claims about stamina and energy and stuff. You remember when you were young and you ran everywhere you went just because it felt good? You remember that. Nostalgia gets you, right? And that sales letter crushed. So it gave me help that we could still sell things without making physical claims. And the more that I write and the more that I'm into this, I realize that's more and more and more and more true. Because it doesn't matter, right? I'll give you an example. So I call it peeling the onion. So you give me an example of a headline for weight loss is lose 30 pounds in 30 days, right? That's been used forever. It's unbelievable. It's not tactile. It's totally unemotional. It sounds like bullshit because it's bullshit. But you tell a story. My girlfriends, we all were going to the mall because my best friend was getting married and we're going to try on bridesmaid dresses. Fortunately for me, they were black dresses. Everybody was to get a little black dress. And I went to the store and I kind of milled around until nobody was really looking. And then I started fanning back to the dresses, toward the back of the rack where the bigger sizes were. And I finally found one I thought might fit me. So I went in the dressing room, I put it on, and I looked into the mirror and I saw, the thing barely zipped up. There were bulges and there were pieces of me that weren't there before. And I realized it was time to do something different. Which is more impactful, right? I made no claim, right? But it's much more impactful. They laughed when I said I was a photographer, but when they went to my gallery show, that whole pitch was not about playing the piano, it was about how it felt to play the piano. So if you guys can learn to peel that onion and get down to the real why anybody's buying your thing, it becomes so easy, so much easier to write your copy. So I always joke about this particular ad. I'm going to use it again because it's just so much fun. But I don't know if you guys saw this or not. It says, you're not the first, but do you really care? Aston Martin pre-owned. So you see the car in the ad? You think they know their demographic? What? Do you think a guy buys an Aston Martin because he needs to go back and forth to the store really quick to get milk? I'll bet you their married market is tiny. So now I'll tell a goofy story. So I was and I shouldn't tell this story again, it always gets me in trouble, but it's so much fun. I was at a book event and I showed this slide and I talked about that. And it just out of nowhere it came out. I said, so I've been telling people for years that nobody buys a drill because they want a drill. They buy a drill because they want a hole. Obviously, guys buy Aston Martins for the same reason. Did not go over well with the ladies in the audience. So anyway, learn to peel the onion. As you're beginning to mill this around in your brain right now, start thinking about the emotional reasons why people actually are buying what you're selling. And concentrate on that far more than you're concentrating on the tactile reason. How much a bottle of wine? Yes. What's your most expensive bottle of wine that you sell? Just under 11,000. What's the cheapest bottle of wine you guys have? Still made out of grapes? Yeah. There's a lot of, taste is subjective, obviously. And I'm sure the $80 wine's still probably okay wine. But people buy wine for all different reasons. We went to Napa Valley, Roland and I did, and I'm purely Napa Valley material. And we go into all these wineries where he goes and spends loads and loads of money, and they know how to kiss butt up there. They're amazing. And I go as the redneck partner who just grosses people out. I was more fascinated with the spit buckets than anything else because they drink and they spit it into the eyes. And I'm like, what do y'all do with that? Because I could afford that. But they all have this emotional story of how, well, we bought the vineyard because of the oak tree out front's over 300 years old, and there was a spike driven in it by the man who founded the mountain, 200 years ago, and the tree's grown around the spike, and, it's at a certain elevation, and yada, yada. So, we built the house and the vineyard around the spike. Welcome to Old Spike Vineyards. What do you got? Grape juice, right? That's what they got. They all got the same damn thing. They're all selling grape juice. But the better the story, up goes the price, right? They got to have good wine. There's good wine, there's bad wine, there's all kinds of wine in between. But for the most part, when you're on those wine tours, you're buying the story as much as you're buying the wine. And some of those guys, by the way, are amazing copywriters. Dakota Shy Wineries, get on their newsletter. He writes a big emotional newsletter every month. Todd Newman. Yeah. It's Dakota Shy Wineries, really great at emotionalizing the purchase of a wine. He actually has wine they only sell in, I thought that was a great hook. They sell some of their wine, it's only in magnums. It's called Social Currency, and they only bottle it in magnums because it's meant to lubricate the conversation, basically. It's meant to be shared with friends.